I needed to heal. I was not in a good place, and football was destroying my joy. I hated it, because I was losing my love for life. Those are the actual words of Rob Gronkowski. Over 11 brutal seasons, he endured 9 surgeries and roughly 20 concussions, walking away only to return and retire again. His career was decided not by stadium light scoreboards, but within his own battered brain. This is the tragedy of Rob Gronkowski, a physical marvel built for war. To unpack his story, you and I must begin with the injuries, because the injuries are his entire legacy. The damage started way before his rookie year in the NFL, back in 2009. While starring at Arizona, a severe herniated disc with nerve impingement wiped out his entire crucial junior season for back surgery. He recovered, but the destructive loop was set. New England drafted him regardless, and for a short window, his frame held. Then came 2012. Blocking on an extra point, the star tight end completely shattered his left forearm. That break bred infections, requiring more surgeries. He missed games, played through agony, and that single forearm became a nightmare. It required multiple operations. Then, in 2013, one devastating hit did damage most NFL players never survive. Facing Cleveland, he took a massive hit that caused a severe concussion, a torn ACL, and a torn MCL all at once. One snap, 3 devastating injuries. He missed most of that season while already battling a fractured spine. He was managing a fractured vertebra and a herniated disc. It was a brutal saga that ultimately required 3 back surgeries. That forearm was an ongoing disaster too. The bone rebroke, the dangerous infection flared back up, and the surgeries multiplied. He actually played in a Super Bowl while that bone was still knitting together. He blocked, he caught, and then went back under. He went straight back under the knife. His spine was another nightmare altogether. The herniated disc from college was just the start, followed by a fractured vertebra and constant operations. In total, he underwent 3 major spinal surgeries, 3 procedures on the exact area of the body that absorbs every heavy block, bone-crushing tackle, and awkward turf landing. The list just keeps going. High ankle sprains, torn hamstrings, and deep quad contusions. Then in 2021, a punctured lung and fractured ribs. Every NFL season took a physical toll. Patriots fans learned to hold their breath whenever he caught a pass over the middle, knowing the next collision could end his career. If you want more NFL breakdowns, smash that subscribe button. Every major injury sparked trade whispers. Every medical report fueled endless retirement speculation across sports talk shows. Every single setback started debates about New England overworking him. These incidents were far more than just physical issues. They became the defining narrative of his prime. But there is one number you and I must look at from Gronk. Quote, "I went through it. 9 surgeries. Probably had like 20 concussions in my life." End quote. 9 surgeries and 20 concussions. That is not an NFL career profile. That is a battlefield casualty list. The darkest moment did not happen in defeat. It happened after his greatest victory, following Super Bowl 51. The Patriots were champions again, and he should have been partying. Instead, he was isolated in bed, completely paralyzed, unable to sleep, paying the toll of victory. He said, quote, "I could barely walk, slept 5 minutes at night. I was crying in my bed after a Super Bowl victory," end quote. Crying in bed after a championship. That heartbreaking image reveals the brutal bargain he struck. He gave football a titan who absorbed endless, violent punishment, hits that would have ended most careers permanently. He was a human wrecking ball, taking punishment and asking for more. That is the real tragedy here, not just a highlight tape. These major injuries were never isolated events. They compound. Each injury built on the scars of the last. A thrice-operated back, a shattered forearm, a reconstructed knee, a brain rattled at least 20 times over. The cumulative damage was absolutely staggering. By his late 20s, the frame that made him the most dominant tight end in NFL history was failing. It was begging him to stop. That is the terrible cost of greatness. Every seam route, every physical catch, and every special teams block was another massive withdrawal from an athletic account that was running completely dry. His signature style, charging full speed into anyone in his path, was exactly what dismantled his physical peak. His career was ultimate glory, constructed directly over physical ruin. The forearm break in 2012, the knee in 2013, the spine issues, the punctured lung in 2021, and the head trauma, he finally counted himself. And at the heart of this legacy, that painful night after Super Bowl 53, weeping alone, unable to walk. He achieved ultimate glory, but paid with his health. A player can heal a bone or a ligament. But the question you and I must ask is, what happens when their spirit breaks too? Drop a like if you agree. Did more than break bone and tissue. They shattered his mind. To understand why an NFL champion at his peak decided to walk away from the game, you and I must analyze the brutal toll football was taking off the field, the crushing weight he carried. His NFL injury list is brutal on paper, but mere stats cannot capture the suffocating darkness that consumed Rob Gronkowski in the spring of 2019. The physical wreckage was clear. The limp, the surgeries, the swollen joints. What we did not see was the slow erosion of the one thing that defined him, his joy. In our broadcasts, Gronkowski was the ultimate entertainer, a larger-than-life showman who spiked touchdowns like he was splitting the earth, laughing his way through every single press conference. And that is exactly why this emotional crash was so haunting for us. The most cheerful man in the league was completely empty. Following that hollow, grueling win in Super Bowl 53, some deep shifted inside him. He was only 29, an age when tight ends hit their prime, yet his body felt completely shattered. Those sleepless nights were not just an inconvenience, they were a relentless, nightly nightmare. He finally rejected another surgery, absolutely exhausted by the infinite cycle of breaking and rebuilding his body. In raw interviews, he admitted the game was dragging him into a dark place. If you are enjoying this deep dive, hit subscribe. This retirement was no contract dispute or play for more cash. It was pure self-preservation from a superstar who gave his health to the league, only to watch it steal his spirit. The game had quietly become the very thing destroying him from the inside out. He knew if he did not walk away, nothing would be left of the man behind the helmet. The choice was clear. Gronkowski realized that true healing, the kind that lasted, required a clean, permanent break. As commentators, we knew it, and he knew it too. He had to step away from the NFL entirely to let his body and his mind fully recover from the war. Notice he emphasized both. The physical damage was obvious to any sports fan watching him. We all saw him limp off the field after Super Bowl 51. But the mental scars were far quieter and far more terrifying. These wounds never show up on injury reports. For a superstar whose entire brand was built on being indestructible and cheerful, admitting he needed mental healing was incredibly vulnerable. So, in March 2019, at just 29 years old, Gronk walked away. It was the premature end of an era. If you respect his choice, leave a like on this video. Millions of sports fans had cringed at every brutal hit he took, seeing his retirement not as quitting, but as a vital act of survival. We wanted the man to outlast the player. And here is the beautiful part. Stepping away worked. Free from the weekly collisions. The future Hall of Famer rebuilt himself. He used alternative medicine for pain, trained on his own terms, and rediscovered his smile. Slowly, the joy returned. The light came back. The champion who wept in pain after winning a Lombardi trophy was finally, genuinely happy. As analysts, we thought this was the perfect fairy tale ending. The hero escapes the punishing NFL machine, reclaims his life, and rides off into a sunset of absolute freedom. The story could have ended there. A clean, hopeful resolution to an amazing career. His pain was finally manageable. His trademark smile was back. For the first time in his adult life, he was just a person, not a battered athlete on a countdown clock. And the media loved him for it. There was no bitter exit, no bridge burning, and no ugly contract dispute following him. He left with class, and the sports world rewarded that honesty with an outpouring of ultimate respect. In an era where the league drains players completely, he had the rare courage to walk away while he still had a healthy life ahead. But sports stories are rarely that simple. While he enjoyed his hard-won peace, a phone call arrived that would test if a star can ever truly walk away from his true calling. The gridiron was not done with him, and neither was his ultimate quarterback partner. To understand why a player who finally found peace would march back into the exact war that broke him, we must look at the magnetic force that pulled him out of retirement, the pull of the brotherhood. This is where the next chapter begins, the most relentless competitor in NFL history to pull him back. And in 2020, that is exactly what went down. Tom Brady walked away from New England, signing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But Brady was not just Gronkowski's legendary quarterback. He was his closer, his partner in crime, the mastermind behind every iconic play of his career. And Brady, The ultimate champion was not starting his Tampa chapter without his favorite target. So Brady kept calling, and he did not stop. This recruiting push was relentless, personal, and impossible to ignore. This was not a front office contract offer. This was a brother calling a brother to war. For a player who retired to save his health and sanity, the temptation to return was massive, deeply human. It is the draw of unfinished business, fierce loyalty, and the ultimate chance to win another ring next to the teammate who shared his entire journey. Gronk had found peace. Sure, but peace feels like an empty stadium when the quarterback you won championships with is begging you to return. So, Gronk answered the call, and he did not hold back. He approached his NFL comeback with pure ferocity, bordering on obsession. He trained like a Navy SEAL, dropping weight and completely rebuilding his veteran body. Drop a like if you respect his toughness. The Patriots traded his rights, and just like that, the duo reunited under the Florida sun. The party animal became a focused warrior. It was a Hollywood script unfolding in real time. In their very first season in Tampa, this duo marched straight to Super Bowl 55 and won it all. Gronk caught 2 touchdowns in that championship game, a legendary performance that felt like poetic justice for his career. But here is where the story takes a dark and familiar turn. Because Gronk did not catch those touchdowns as a fully healthy, recovered superstar. He played through broken ribs. Let that sink in. The player who retired because his body was screaming in agony, who wept in bed after winning a Super Bowl, was hiding broken ribs just to play and chase another ring. This comeback instantly restarted the vicious cycle of pain that drove him out before. That is the brutal, beautiful paradox at the center of his career. The very brotherhood that gifted him a second championship run was the exact force dragging his body back into the meat grinder. He wanted to live like an NFL champion again. And for one golden season, he did. But gridiron champions always pay in pain. And Gronk was already tapped out. The bill was due. Those broken ribs were just the start. Next came back spasms, a punctured lung, and more fractures, echoing the old damage. He tried so hard to escape. The peace he built in retirement was getting shattered, hit by hit, all over again. The allure of chasing another ring came with a devastating price. There were hidden twists, too. Reports eventually surfaced that the superstar tight end considered retiring early just to avoid a trade to the Detroit Lions. His ultimate loyalty was always to the Patriots, to Brady, and to their brotherhood, not just any jersey. Those deep bonds were the reason he returned to the field. They decided his entire path. Finally, in 2022, his battered body won the argument for good. Rob Gronkowski retired for good, ruling out any future comeback. He left with another ring in Tampa, one right next to his quarterback brother, leaving behind a body broken and rebuilt across 2 different NFL franchises and 11 punishing seasons. But here is the heaviest question this saga leaves us with, one that no surgery can ever fix. As analysts, we have detailed the broken bones and ligaments, the punctured lungs, and the ribs. We covered the fading joy and the brotherhood pulling him back. But there is one vital organ we must address. The one that matters most. 20 concussions, 5 blackout hits, and a head he admitted felt different. To truly understand the most chilling chapter of this star's life, hit that subscribe button as we examine what those hits did to his brain, the shadow over his mind. This is the darkest, most tragic chapter of his story, with no simple ending in sight. While broken ribs, heel, and knees can be surgically reconstructed, the brain offers no such mercy. Rob Gronkowski's brain absorbed a truly terrifying amount of trauma, and he has been incredibly honest about it. He admitted to sustaining roughly 20 severe concussions over the course of his career, including 5 blackouts where he lost consciousness. 5 times the lights went completely out, and Rob described symptoms that should chill any fan to the bone. A head feeling thick, heavy, almost fluid, with mood swings, brain fog, and terrifying post-hit sensations. As editors, we see players lay it out plainly, the wreckage of his career. He admitted, quote, "I went through it. 9 surgeries, probably had like 20 concussions in my life," end quote. 20 concussions. Spoken so casually, you would think he was reading a grocery list. But behind that number sits the ultimate specter haunting every former football player. We are talking about CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. It is the progressive degenerative brain disease linked directly to the brutal head trauma Gronk endured for over a decade. And this is where his post-career story takes an explosive, controversial turn, splitting the sports world down the middle. Back in 2019, during his first retirement, Gronk claimed he actually fixed his CTE. Through lifestyle changes, targeted exercises, CBD, and recovery, he allegedly repaired his brain. The backlash from experts was immediate and fierce. And if you like this deep dive, hit subscribe. The scientific problem with his claim is brutally simple, and we need to unpack this carefully. You see, CTE is a neurodegenerative disease that can currently only be diagnosed after death. You cannot patch it up like a sprained ankle. Chris Nowinski of the Concussion Legacy Foundation and other top experts pushed back hard, warning the public that Gronk's message was dangerously misleading, especially for young players who hear their favorite star claim brain damage is reversible, making them think the risk is totally worth it. But experts at Boston University's CTE Center had a different take. To them, the real, hopeful development in his story was not some unproven miracle medical cure. It was the retirement itself. Dr. Ann McKee, the renowned BU researcher, framed his exit as a massive relief, because stepping away from the gridiron was the single most effective move to prevent further brain damage. Put simply, you cannot repair the brain, but you can stop the abuse. Walking away was the smartest move he could make. Still, the mystery surrounding his claims only deepened. Was Gronk in denial, clinging to a comforting fiction to protect his legacy? Subscribe to our channel as we analyze this. Or had he genuinely found real physical relief that sports science simply cannot explain or prove just yet? He later softened his stance on the cure, but stood firm on how great he felt. The brain fog had lifted, and he was fully functioning. Still, public opinion split right down the middle. Many praised his raw vulnerability, talking openly about concussions and mental fog when others hid in shame. Others saw a legendary athlete pushing an unproven narrative, potentially putting impressionable young athletes in danger. Both of these viewpoints hold serious weight. Both feel incredibly true in their own right. That massive ambiguity is exactly what makes this specific chapter of his life so haunting. Because here is the suspense. Nobody knows how this ends. CTE is a progressive beast, meaning symptoms can flare up decades after the helmet hits stop. Right now, the damage is invisible. Gronk looks sharp, energetic, and highly active. But if this disease is there, it plays a long game. The tragic history of former NFL players who seemed fine before collapsing hangs over his public life. So the terrifying question lingers unanswered. Will those scary symptoms eventually return to haunt him? Is the relief he feels a real reprieve, or just the calm before a devastating neurological storm? This is a shadow that no amount of CBD or positive thinking can fully erase. It is the one football injury that has no surgery, no physical rehab, and no clear prognosis. Yet remarkably, Gronk's current story is not shrouded in darkness. If you want more stories like this, hit like. Despite everything, his life today is full of success, light, and one truly beautiful act of loyalty. To understand this surprising, bittersweet final chapter of his journey, we must look past football. Let us look at the man he has become and the dying wish that brought him home. This is about redemption. After 9 surgeries, 20 concussions, and all the career milestones, the draining controversy, and the dark shadow hanging over his brain, you might expect a tragic end. It is not. In 2026, as an editor and commentator watching his path, he is absolutely thriving. There is no dramatic downfall here, no cautionary collapse. He is winning his post-career game. Instead, he pivoted, bringing that same gridiron energy to the broadcast booth on Fox NFL Sunday as an analyst, delivering his signature charm to millions of screens every weekend. He is co-hosting massive events, building his Gronk fitness empire, recording podcasts with former teammate Julian Edelman, and hosting those legendary Gronk beach parties. Major endorsements keep pouring in. The ultimate party animal grew up without losing his spark. From our vantage point, he looks sharp and vibrant, a walking contradiction to the darkest health fears we often worry about in retired players. His personal life mirrors that same steady grounding with Camille Kostek, whom he met back when she was cheerleading for New England around 2015. It is remarkably private, despite his chaotic career. No drama, just total loyalty. But the most emotional, unexpected chapter of his retirement arrived in November of 2025, And it had absolutely nothing to do with fame or fortune. This had everything to do with deep loyalty, fulfilling the final wish of a close friend. Her name was Susan Hurley, a former Patriots cheerleader and dedicated philanthropist who had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. As things worsened, she made a special request that set this entire emotional moment in motion. Owner Robert Kraft explained the deeply emotional core of it, remembering a young lady named Susan Hurley, a beloved friend of Rob and our entire franchise. Kraft made it clear she was not just an acquaintance, but someone deeply woven into the fabric of the entire franchise, a close friend to him, to Gronk, and to the entire New England family. She was a former Patriots cheerleader, and she had cancer, unfortunately, and was very ill with it. A former cheerleader, fighting for her life, and, in her final days, surrounded by the community and team she loved, she made a plea that showed her heart. And one of her last wishes, right during the ceremony to donate this playground, she made a request. It happened at a charity dedication for a park, building a future for local kids, and right in the middle of that beautiful act of generosity, she made her wish known. She wanted Rob to retire in a Patriots uniform. Think about that for a second. Her final wish was not for herself, but to protect the legacy of a friend, ensuring the guy who brought New England so much glory could officially end his career in the colors where it all started. Robert Kraft instantly made it happen, fast-tracking the timeline to sign Gronk to a one-day deal at Gillette Stadium, letting him retire as a true Patriot. It was an incredibly emotional ceremony honoring a friend who did not live to see the next kickoff. This moment connected directly to Gronk's own charitable work, with his playground initiative stemming from that very same spirit of charity. For the big tight end, the emotion of this tribute was overwhelming. His commitment to New England and the inspiration for the park pointed directly to Hurley. He admitted he wanted to help the community, and the entire concept for this community playground started right there alongside Susan Hurley. The park, the city, her memory driving it all. Believe me, this was no cheap publicity stunt or simple paperwork. It was a beautiful full-circle moment. A legendary player honoring the woman who inspired his charity, off the gridiron. When the chance came to pull on that Patriots jersey one last time, he did not hesitate for a single second. It was an absolute no-brainer to return and retire as a Patriot. An easy call. Despite the toll his career took on him, coming home was the easiest decision of all. And the accolades did not stop there. The fans quickly voted him into the Patriots Hall of Fame, cementing his place among the franchise greats in the class of 2026. So where does that leave his legacy today? In an incredibly unique and inspiring position. A player whose body was broken down, whose mind still faces health questions, yet whose retirement is now filled with real success, love, and purpose. He still teases us with comebacks, manages his pain, and lights up every room. If you love these gridiron stories, subscribe and click on any of the videos on your screen right now.